Right now, as you're reading this, hundreds of millions of Americans are making a decision that will cost them everything. They're choosing to ignore the largest economic restructuring happening in plain sight. And by the time they understand what's happening, the transfer will be complete. The average American household owns $620,000 in net worth. That sounds respectable until you understand something critical. That number is meaningless. It's a statistical illusion designed to hide the truth. Because while that average sits at $620,000, the median, the actual middle ground, tells a completely different story. The median American family owns less than $200,000. Why does this matter? Because medians don't lie. Averages do. $170 trillion. That's the total wealth currently held by American households. And right now, we're watching the largest structural shift in how that wealth is organized since the Great Depression. The distribution isn't spreading, it's consolidating. And there's a pattern to this consolidation, a predictable mechanism that's been operating for thousands of years. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand it, everything changes. Here's what nobody tells you. The middle class doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes gradually, then suddenly, through a specific four-stage process that targets your actual financial behavior, not your investments, your behavior, the decisions you make about where to store your money, how to preserve wealth, what assets you trust. And right now, in 2025, we're watching stage 3 of this process unfold in real time. Stage 1. The middle class accumulates capital. During periods of stability and growth, normal people, teachers, doctors, small business owners, engineers, they build wealth. They save, they own homes, they own stocks, they accumulate security. This is the most dangerous stage, not because it's bad, but because it creates complacency. Everyone believes the system works. Everyone believes their wealth is safe. The illusion of permanence is complete. Stage 2, the system reveals hidden vulnerabilities. Something breaks. Maybe it's inflation that nobody expected. Maybe it's an asset bubble bursting. Maybe it's a pandemic that freezes the economy. The specific catalyst doesn't matter. What matters is that the middle class, having accumulated wealth in a specific form, real estate, retirement accounts, savings, suddenly discovers that the rules of the game have changed. The purchasing power of their money drops. Their home value becomes tied to interest rates they can't control. Their retirement accounts fluctuate wildly. The illusion shatters. Stage 3, the transfer accelerates. This is where we are now. Asset prices explode higher, not because of genuine economic productivity, but because of one simple mechanism: liquidity. When the government injects trillions in stimulus, when central banks cut interest rates to zero, when corporations borrow money at nothing and buy back their own stock, when investors desperate to find returns pump money into real estate, equities, and alternative assets, the prices of these assets skyrocket. But here's the critical part. The median American household can't access these assets anymore. They can't afford them. A median home price of $430,000 requires an annual income of $129,000. But the median American household income is $75,000. Do the math. The gap is widening every month. Stage 4, the wealth becomes locked. Those who own assets, the top 10%, watch their wealth multiply. Those who own currency and bonds, the bottom 50%, watch theirs evaporate through inflation. The system resets. A new baseline is established. And the middle class, having lost the ability to participate in asset ownership, becomes permanent renters. They become permanent workers. They become permanent consumers rather than builders of generational wealth. This process has a name. It's called wealth consolidation. And it's not accidental. Let me prove this to you with one specific example. Real estate. 30 years ago, the median home cost 3 times the median household income. That was called the standard affordability ratio. Today, that ratio is 5.7 times. In some markets, it's 8 times, 10 times, 12 times. This didn't happen because homes got better. This happened because money got cheaper. When the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates to near zero after 2008, when quantitative easing flooded the system with liquidity, when corporations and wealthy investors realized they could borrow essentially free money and buy assets, they did. Trillions flowed into real estate. Prices exploded. And the median American, who had hoped to participate in the wealth-building vehicle of homeownership, found themselves permanently locked out. Check each stage. Stage 1. Middle class accumulated wealth during stable growth periods from 1945 to 2007. Verified. Stage 2. The 2008 financial crisis revealed that the financial system was fundamentally fragile. Verified. Stage 3. We're here now. Asset prices have recovered and exceeded previous highs. Stock market at all-time highs. Real estate unaffordable. But the middle class can't access these gains. Verified. Stage 4. We're watching it complete. Wealth inequality at 75-year highs. The top 1% controls 30.8% of all wealth. The bottom 50% controls 2.8%. The middle class is being hollowed out in real time. Here's what makes this process so effective. It's not illegal. It's not even hidden. The Federal Reserve publishes their balance sheet. We know they expanded the money supply from $900 billion to $7 trillion between 2008 and 2025. We know this. We all know this. Yet the mechanism that creates wealth transfer through monetary expansion remains invisible to most people. Because nobody explains the direct connection. They don't tell you that when you expand money supply by 700%, you're not creating value. You're redistributing it. From those holding the expanded currency, the middle class with their savings accounts and bonds, to those holding assets that benefit from the new money, real estate, stocks, art, cryptocurrency, commodities, anything that cannot be infinitely printed. The statistics are staggering. Since 2008, the top 10% has accumulated $46 trillion in net wealth, while the bottom 50% accumulated $2.1 trillion. That's not distribution, that's extraction. The mechanism is simple. You lower interest rates. Asset prices rise because future cash flows are worth more. You inject liquidity. Asset prices rise further as money searches for returns. You keep rates low for years, then suddenly raise them. Those holding mortgages, auto loans, credit cards face payment shocks. Those with cash and assets wait for prices to fall, then buy them at discount from desperate sellers. The wealth transfers upward, systematically, predictably, inevitably. And here's the part that should terrify you. This isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. In the last 3 months of 2024, the wealth concentration increased more than it did in the entire previous year. The middle class is running out of assets to transfer, which means stage 4 is approaching completion. When stage 4 completes, the system resets. New rules, new baselines, new normal. And by then, you'll have made all your major financial decisions already. Your home purchase, your investment allocation, your saving strategy, all locked in place, all based on assumptions that are no longer valid. So what do? First, understand that your primary residence is not an investment anymore. It's a consumption good, a place to live. If you're counting on real estate appreciation to build wealth, you're already too late. The demographic shift is against you. Younger people have 26% fewer children than previous generations. Population growth is slowing. Migration patterns are shifting. Real estate appreciation, which was 3 to 4% annually on average, is normalizing toward 1 to 2%. Inflation will likely exceed that. You'll lose purchasing power. Second, understand that your savings account is costing you wealth, not making you wealthy, not keeping you safe, costing you. A savings account earning 4% while inflation runs 3% seems safe, but it's not, because tax on that interest makes it worse. Because the real inflation, the increase in asset prices, is running 7 to 8% annually. You're falling behind 3 to 4% per year in real purchasing power. That's $3,000 to $4,000 per year, lost on every $100,000 saved. Over a decade, that compounds to losing 30 to 40% of your purchasing power. Your safety is actually a leak. Third, understand that financial assets without real asset backing are increasingly risky. Bonds? Central banks may need to raise rates higher to fight inflation, crushing bond values. Bank deposits? The FDIC insurance limit is $250,000. If your net worth exceeds that and you're counting on banks to preserve your wealth, you're taking uncompensated risk. Stocks? They provide real asset exposure. But they're also the most liquid market in the world. When forced selling happens, pension fund rebalancing, margin calls, systematic deleveraging, stock prices can collapse faster than house prices. What actually protects wealth during this consolidation phase? Real assets with real earning power, productive assets, commercial real estate generating cash flow, operating businesses generating cash flow, agricultural land generating cash flow. These aren't liquid. They can't be printed. They generate actual economic value. They preserve wealth because they're disconnected from monetary manipulation. When the money supply expands, their real value, the actual goods and services they produce, remains constant. But their nominal price rises. You win. The pattern has repeated for 2,000 years. Empires expand the money supply when they can't pay their bills. Asset prices rise. The middle class gets squeezed. The wealthy consolidate. The empire resets or collapses. And you're living through Act 3 right now. The only question that matters is whether you're going to see the pattern before stage 4 completes, or whether you're going to wake up one day and wonder how all your wealth disappeared into someone else's portfolio. The consolidation machine was built long before you were born, but it's operating at full capacity right now. The great wealth restructuring of 2025 isn't happening to you. It's happening around you. And unless you understand the mechanism, unless you position yourself in actual assets with real earning power, you're not preserving wealth. You're funding someone else's accumulation. Subscribe, because in the next video, I'm going to show you the specific asset classes that have outperformed during every previous wealth consolidation cycle, and exactly how to position yourself before the final stage locks in place. This is pattern recognition. This is what the data shows. This is what history teaches. And right now, you still have time to act, but not for long.